What's good, YouTube? My name is Coach, and in this video we're going to be doing a deck tech for Zabaz the Glimmerwasp. Just so you are aware, you can like this video if you like this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. You don't have to. I'm just genuinely appreciative that you're here watching this video, so thank you. The purpose of this video is to share with you all this commander deck so that you guys can help me to build a better version of this deck. So if you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. Zabaz is a 1-mana commander. He has an ability called Modular 1, and generally with Modular, your creature enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that number right there. So generally, Zabaz should enter the battlefield with 1 counter. However, his ability reads, if a modular triggered ability would put 1 or more counters on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. So it reads that Zabaz is a 1/1, however, because of his own ability, he's actually a 2/2. Zabaz also has the ability to pay a red mana to destroy a target artifact you control, and for 1 white mana, you can give Zabaz flying until the end of turn. So the purpose of this deck is to sacrifice our artifacts or our creatures that have modular, and then bring those cards back to the battlefield and make multiple copies of those cards so that we can either buff Zabaz or we can buff another one of the artifact creatures that we have to just ridiculous levels of power and toughness, so that we can use that to deal damage to our opponents. If I'm being honest, this deck is meant to be fun. I can't really say this deck is ever going to be highly competitive. However, it's fun and it's something different. To make this more competitive, I did place an infinite turn combo inside the deck that we're going to go over later. But I just did that just so that there is a win condition inside here where you can just win the game on the spot. So what we're going to go over first are the modular creatures. These are the creatures that, mind you, every single time I read their modular number. So for example, this Arcbound Reclaimer says modular 2. If Zabaz is in play, and Zabaz is generally in play, he really reads modular 3. And the reason why that's important is because if the Arcbound Reclaimer gets put into the graveyard, because of modular, all of his +1/+1 counters are placed onto another target artifact creature we control. So you just keep chaining its counters from creature to creature to creature, which tends to be kind of fun. And the Reclaimer also has the ability to remove a counter from himself to then put an artifact from your graveyard on the top of your library. It's a good card. Arcbound Slith, modular 1. When this deals damage, you put a counter on it. The Arcbound Mauser, just lifelink, modular 1. Flying, modular 1. This has, you can remove its counters to deal damage to attacking or blocking creatures. Modular 2, or really modular 3. This Arcbound Shikari is actually a really good card inside this deck. When this enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on the other artifact you control as modular 3, essentially. So it's a 3-mana 3/3 that buffs your entire board. That when those creatures go away, they generally have modular. So, and Zabaz will place another +1/+1 counter. So this really reads, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each other artifact creature you control, technically, with the way the deck plays. Arcbound Prototype, just a 2-mana 3/3. Scrapyard Recombiner. This has the ability to sack an artifact to search your library for a construct card. Has modular 2. This also has modular 2. It says menace, so it has some type of evasion. This is modular 4, so this is a 5 mana 5/5 with Riot, so either with haste or another counter. So those are the modular creatures. Now we have to sacrifice these creatures. So the cards we're going to use to sacrifice these creatures is this Scrap Welder. Got this from Neon Dynasty. I just added this to the deck actually. You sacrifice an artifact with mana value X, and then you can return target artifact card with mana value less than X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It would be cool if you figure out a way to untap this. We have a Ravenous Intruder, just sack an artifact. I think his card's name is Slowbad. I think this card sacrifices an artifact to give another artifact indestructible. Goblin Bombardment just lets you sacrifice creatures and deal damage. We have Goblin Engineer. This tutors for an artifact and puts it into your graveyard, and then allows you to sacrifice an artifact to put an artifact into play from your graveyard. Brea's Apprentice lets you sack an artifact. Duplicant. I put Duplicant, Burnished Heart here as well. Tormod's Crypt Keeper, and then a Scrabbling Claws. Just because these cards are nice to sacrifice, and in some cases they can actually sacrifice themselves. The thing is that with the next group of cards that we're going to talk about right now, which is the cards over here in this pile, there are certain cards that we want to bring back other than our modular creatures, and these cards over here often give us a ton of value and allow us to, you know, exile graveyards, exile creatures, or ramp us by 2 mana. We can just kind of do them or use them over and over again. I should probably put Solemn Simulacrum inside this deck as well. We have Doretti. I think this one says you draw 2 and then discard 2. This one you sack an artifact to put any artifact from your graveyard onto the battlefield, and I do not know what the mana is. We have a Scrap Trawler, which is going to return artifacts from your graveyard to your hand, I believe. This lets you sack an artifact and put an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. Abiding Grace lets you return target creature card with mana value 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. And as we saw, there are a good amount of creatures over here with mana value 1. This is a Mere Retriever. When this goes away, you can take an artifact from your hand and put it from your graveyard and put it into your hand. We have Reconstruct History. I mean, for 4 mana, this gets you 5 cards. Sun Titan just lets you bring a lot of your artifacts from your graveyard back to the battlefield. Teshar is just a great way to cast our artifact spells and then take artifacts from our graveyard and put it back to the battlefield to be reused. Because of Teshar, we run a good amount of cards that are similar to the Scrabbling Claws, where you can sacrifice this for 1 to draw a card. This costs 1 mana, so we can just reuse these to just continuously draw cards, and sometimes trigger other cards to put our artifacts back onto the battlefield. So sometimes we can make multiple copies of our artifacts. So we have Felden of the Third Path here, which is going to put a token copy of a target creature that's in our graveyard onto the battlefield. So I mean, making token copies of this Arcbound Slasher, which is going to add 5 +1/+1 counters to a creature when it goes away, tends to be kind of a pretty big play when we need to end the game with Zabaz. We have our prototype portal. Prototype portal. You might have, this was part of the infinite combo over here actually. But we just use this so that we can make token copies of our artifacts continuously. I'm gonna leave this off to the side. And we have a soul foundry, which kind of does the same thing as the prototype portal, but only with creatures. And here are the cards that are generally just strong inside the deck. So if we ever need to, or I believe with the Gonzalez, what ends up happening is this says that whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on the Gonzalez. And then at the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Gonzalez has counters on it, you may remove all counters from the Gonzalez onto target creature. So modular, and then this triggers twice. So if I had the Arcbound Slasher go to the graveyard, its 5 counters will go onto a creature because of the modular ability, and then the 5 counters will go onto the Gonzalez as well. So it basically doubles up your counters and really speeds up the game in terms of knocking people out of commander damage with Zabaz. I think the Gonzalez is a must-have. We have Together Forever. You can pay 1 mana to choose target creature that has counters on it, or when that creature goes away, you can return it to your hand. We have a Mindless Automaton. This, you can remove 2 +1/+1 counters on it to draw a card. Just think it's a really good card. We have Alibu. Alibu, man. Alibu's so good. Whatever one or more artifact creatures you control attack, Alibu deals X damage to any target, and then you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. And Alibu gives everything haste. We have a treasure chest. We have this in here just because we are sacrificing our artifacts and bringing them back, and sacrificing and bringing them back. And specifically with Teshar, we can bring back a treasure chest quite often. And the treasure chest, you can sacrifice this for 4 mana and roll d20. You can create 5 treasure tokens, which is just really intense. You can gain 3 life, draw 3 cards, which is great. Or you can tutor, or you can lose 3 life. But just continuously being able to just use this over and over again is a lot of value from this one card. We have Mystic Forge, which just lets you cast your artifacts on the top of your library. And then we have Ugin's Nexus. So if this card is... So it says, if a player would begin an extra turn, yeah, whatever. It says over here, if Ugin's Nexus would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield, instead exile it and take an extra turn after this one. So essentially what we do is we make a copy of Ugin's Nexus with prototype portal. So Ugin's Nexus will be exiled with the prototype portal. We tap the prototype portal to make a token copy of the Ugin's Nexus, which will then allow us to use any one of the creatures that we have over here that sacrifice artifacts, literally any one of these that sacrifice artifacts, to then have this go into the graveyard. We get an extra turn, we untap, and then we tap this, we get another Ugin's Nexus, we sacrifice it, and then we just get infinite turns. And generally we could just commander damage people out of the game with Zabaz, or just combat damage people out of the game, or just draw continuously with our little draw engines that are drawing us maybe 1 extra card per turn or 2 extra cards per turn, but over the course of the game it tends to really add up. So that is the Zabaz Dech Tech. I know this video went a little bit longer than these usually do, but I think that I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, I know Zabaz is not the most popular commander in the world, so if you want to see a deck list, or if you want to see a playtest of this deck, let me know in the comment section below and I'll go ahead and make those videos, just because I know that if I go on EDH Rec, I'm pretty sure Zabaz would be not too high on the most popular commanders list, but you guys control the channel, so you just let me know if that's something you want to see, okay? Hope you guys have an amazing day. Always remember, eat healthy, okay? Work out every single day. Most importantly, you gotta remember to believe in yourself, alright? Peace out, people.